Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers, where we do live analysis for day trading and look at hotspots in the markets for today, Monday, March 21st. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me, Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. And when I say we're going to look at hotspots in the markets for today, well, unfortunately, we don't have too many hotspots to look at. But what we are going to talk about is what is moving today, and then we'll take a look at what we might be looking at for later in the week. Equity markets all looking totally flat, completely on pause, waiting to see how the retail trader wants to get at it this week. The one place where we are seeing some activity, we are seeing crude oil higher. Crude oil higher on the EU now deliberating. So it's going to be their consequence on banning Russian oil. So with that, we've seen oil pop again. It got up, I think, near $112 a barrel. I'd have to look at the chart again. But that's the one thing that we've got moving. Other than that, it is very, very quiet. We do have Fed Chairman Powell speaking today. The first time he's going to speak this week. He's also speaking on Wednesday. So those are the things that could be a time when the markets could move if he says something interesting. All right, so with that, we are going, before we jump into it and I flip it over to Brian, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. And, oh no, it was 108. I apologize. It popped up above 108. It was the, this is WTI. It was Brent that popped up about 112. So this is what we've got. Not a lot moving. So Brian, let me flip it over to you because there's not even headlines to really talk much about.
No, not really. Just a couple. I mean, currency market obviously last 24 hours. It's in a full 24 hours, but the biggest mover right now is the euro dollar at -21. Like euro pound completely flat. Pound yen -4. So there's really not a lot there. There's only speeches today from Lagarde, Powell, and Lowe. So maybe we'll hear some. Actually, let's see. Powell he's speaking an economic outlook. So again, it doesn't look like there's questions allowed at this one. It just looks like it's a speech. So we'll see what he says. I'm sure it's going to be quite tempered. Typically, again, remember, it's the questions that matter. Headline-wise, over the weekend, not really anything big. We know that there's a couple major cities that are, really getting kind of hit quite hard in the Ukraine, and they should be. It appears that they'll be taken over soon, or just missing. They won't be there anymore. It seems like they said it's the biggest artillery barrage that we've seen in the century. So that's a big one. Oil, actually, this is the oil headline, is that Yemen rebels strike a barrage of strikes in Saudi Arabia. It's interesting. It used to be rebels had like a truck with some bombs on it. Now it says Houthi rebels have unleashed a barrage of drone and missile strikes. So everybody is, over time, I guess, advanced. But, the rebels have drones and missile strikes. So everybody's got them, and they targeted natural gas plants, water distillation plants, oil facilities, and power stations in Saudi Arabia. So again, Middle East turmoil, again, especially when you're talking about it, touching any type of oil facilities, obviously that's going to raise the price up a bit. Because again, if there's any disruption in Saudi, again, that's another one of the big producers offline. So that's never what you want to hear. And again, this happened yesterday afternoon, so we haven't heard much more about it. But if we don't hear much more, it should retrace back again for this morning. So, and that's it, really. I mean, there's one other headline, too, that I think it's important to bring up. And this is something I've mentioned in the past that you may or may not have caught on to. But, basically talking about how higher energy prices will reduce German household consumption as well as industrial production. And this is something we've seen in the past. With oil prices and gas prices being high, eventually it comes to a point where people stop doing the things that they saw. I can tell you a quick little story this weekend. I actually took the boy. We don't really go out like McDonald's often. We went to McDonald's, right? I ordered hash browns because everybody, of course, loves McDonald's hash browns. They're not healthy for you, but they used to be like on the dollar menu. I ordered 4. And it was $10.47 or something like that. I was like, wait, what? That must be for 2. Like, I must have ordered 4 orders of 2. No, it was 4. Hash browns are now $2.47. So we talk about and we joke all the time about, inflation. And again, we've mentioned things about the election. We talked about how, like, even in Russia, McDonald's basically said, oh, we're not going to do anything, right? We're going to close our doors temporarily in Russia. In the United States, I mean, if you think about who uses things and goes to McDonald's, it's not the rich of the rich, right? Because of these energy prices and gasoline and transportation, we don't have a supply shortage on potatoes. That's not an issue. Like iron, like it's not like the potato famine, right? Something that used to be like $1 for two is now $2.50 for one. That is what 40-year high inflation means. And that's, again, we're starting to just see the fuel consumption. So this is actually a very, very big deal. We're going to hear about it going further. I mean, it's crazy. Like a breakfast meal, I got to ask you, a breakfast meal, $8.07 for,
Dang, they're jacking you at
McRib.
your McDonald's because there's.
Go look.
The only
That's
thing I've
online.
ever
If you
had
look
at
at their
McDonald's I
online
really eat,
app,
I like the sausage McMuffin with egg, and they're still
that's
running. They're still running
$9.
they are $4, but then they still have if you get a second one for $1, and I get it because I just did it
Yeah,
this
well, you
last,
have
and then
to
I
because you
give it
need
to
to split it
somebody
over
on the
2 meals.
street.
Yeah, you
So
need to split over 2 meals. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
But like $10 for breakfast is now all of a sudden getting
yeah,
crazy. $1.60 for orange juice, $2.47 or $2.49 or whatever it is for one hash brown. It's like
that's
25 cents worth of
crazy.
potato.
That's the
So,
oil
but
that they're
that's what
cooking it in.
probably, right? You could be using that in the car, right? But this is something that, and they mentioned here too, that we're seeing, because of these things, it's going to damp industrial production. Economic rebound in Q2 will be much weaker. We saw this the first time in 2008 when gas gets above $4 a gallon. There's an absolute slow in the market. With inflation as high as it is, again, this is where it gets very, very interesting later on this year because over $4, people stop buying as much stuff. We see a natural economic contraction. Interest rates are at a 40-year high. They're going to start raising interest rates to slow that down. That also hurts the market, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors in here. Every single one of these things is like, yeah, this should hurt the market. It should hurt the market. It should hurt the market. It should hurt the market. There's only so much time between now and those midterm elections. There could be a swift change from one side to the other, like we've seen the last couple of midterm elections. It could get really, really crazy. So, I mean, all these things. I mean, I know in Maryland, gas prices were back down to $3.55. A lot of the governors now are doing hey, listen, we're not going to charge taxes this month because it's out of control. It's kind of amazing that governors are saying, hey, listen, 430 is too much. We're going to not accept taxes this month, and it drops like 70, 80 cents. That the individual states now are taking it upon themselves to make it better for their but yet the government isn't doing the same thing. Like they're not doing anything really to lower it besides mentioning that we get to pay higher prices for a year. So this is going to be a crazy battle going forward. It's nuts. But besides that, that's really the only headlines we have. I mean, again, we've seen oil go up a little bit higher, and it's again, you can see from really kind of where we opened up, right here yesterday, a quick pop, and again, missile and drone strikes on oil facilities in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, we're lucky it didn't actually go much higher than that, but. Coincidentally, it is, and again, I'll just put a horizontal line. There's your 50% retracement level.
If the EU decides to shut down, I mean, the U.S. can't tell the EU stop taking Russian oil because it's. But if the EU decides to do it on their own, oil will explode.
Well, the thing about that is the EU can't make that decision, so it's an individual countries-based thing, and Germany's already said we can't do it. So we'd like to. We're gonna make ourselves oil independent. They made that headline about a week ago.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how long it takes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we can going further in the future. Yeah, we can absolutely do this. But at the same time, also strategically thinking. Again, there's a major country that has a whole lot of people that says, "Oh, I can get their oil at a discount. Then we'll take all the oil you have. Take it." Why would China pay $100 a barrel? When they could spend $50 a barrel from Russia. I mean, it's called capitalism. That's how we exist the way that we do. So. The reality is, yes, it'll help Europe, but it's also going to help other people that are considered adversaries to us. So, anyway, 111.50 is kind of again, it's a 50% level. There's actually no supply over there as far as kind of what you would see as far as shorts go, but it will be a psychological level. People taking that from high to low. So just keep that on your radar. If we pop just a little bit more, as I said, there's nothing there, but again, that magical, mystical fib number at 50, people look at that and be like, "Whoo, there's something there," when there may not be. But again. Sometimes it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right now, in the early morning, you're seeing it kind of consolidate. Not necessarily a surprise. And again, this is a 30-minute chart, but you're seeing it kind of push down and kind of I'd like to say coil, right? It's kind of bottling up like a snake. But we tend to see kind of rallies with the U.S. Open on Monday mornings, as we talk about how great the economy and everything is, and again, a lot of the oil producers that are making biggest refiners are all based here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pop up and then maybe a potential rollover 10:30 today. Natural gas again seasonally is also taking a hit. Yeah, we talked about it last week. We've busted through that the 23.6, but we are approaching, and there is actually a level sitting there. There was a little bit of a hiccup sitting right there. I still think 468 is a better area, but this is one of the other big movers that down 1.75. Gold slightly higher, but not really where it was. We talked about having shorts from this level at 1922. We're at 1925 right now, just a little bit higher, on its way down to the 1888. Whoops. We'll see if we can get all the way down there. And then again, silver a little bit higher at 25, but not really trending, doing anything else. Currencies completely flat across the board. The biggest mover right now is down 0.17%, and that's the pound dollar. And it's kind of literally in the middle of the range, so nothing there. And indices totally flat. VIX is up just a little bit, although pulling back again. Again, this is what you get on the weekend, Sunday nights.
Yep.
ES kind of at a high. Right. And again, we knew that this was going to happen. We called it last week with the 0.25 that the market would like that because, again, it's free money. Easy, not a very difficult time. So we'll see what we're able to do today. With lack of any headlines, wouldn't be surprised that these were able to creep a little bit higher. NQ, again, it's saying that it's down, but from where it closed, we're obviously up. Again, you can see in the last 30 minutes, it's been a nice little push. YM also looks similar. It's coming right off that 34,500 level. It came down and based on that. So again, also gives us the ability to kind of punch a little bit higher. And then Russell, kind of the same thing, pulled back from Friday's close. So we're down a little bit, but really starting to kind of pick up speed. And again, 2100 is the Russell levels up top. But for the most part, it's quite quiet right now. Apple really doing nothing. Tesla going a bit higher, right? There was actually a report this weekend about what it actually costs to fill your tank. Energy-wise versus gas-wise.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's still much cheaper to fill it EV-wise, but remember, although it's cheaper, it's not a direct comparison because the premium that you pay to get the electric vehicles versus the gas. So it's still, they're like, oh yes, it is cheaper. Look, this is why you should buy an EV car.
Yeah, but how long does it take for you to recoup that?
That's the thing right now. Yeah. It's still actually cheaper to buy a gasoline car, based off of what they say. 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. It had switched a few years ago with all the tax write-offs and tax credits and state things that you were able to get, but all those are all expired. Those are all gone right now. So not quite where it is yet. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, I would say look for the open, look for some pullbacks, but for the most part, it's not a major mover today, unless we get some major headlines. It'd probably be a little bit more of a snoozer today.
Yeah, by the way, this whole week, we don't have really any economic reports that are major. There's nothing that's really looming out there. That's it is going to be a little bit more of a quiet week. It's been a while.
Wednesday's going to be the biggest day with CPI for the pound. We'll see if pound is going to go up to it. Again, year it is supposed to go up to 6%. And again, remember, they have 3 raises and it's still continuing, and it appears to be going higher. So that could signal the pound actually going up to 1%, maybe the first one to get back to a full percent. Got some
carry trade's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back. And then Bullard, we have Powell speaking, but Bullard is also speaking twice on Wednesday. That could be pretty big. But besides that, yeah, not much. Some retail sales, some durable goods, but not every week is going to be a huge news week.
Yep, or every day. So for that matter, here we are on a Monday. That's all we've got. If you got any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. You got any questions for Brian, please feel free to reach out to Brian. You can email Brian at support@keeptradingsimple.com. My email's up there as well, todd.rich@nadex.com. We really it is a quiet start to the week. Not much to really talk about other than oil popping up a little bit higher. We're seeing some volatility there, so keep your eye on the oil market. Brian did give you that 50% retracement on the fibs, so that could be an interesting trade if there's, if we pop up around there, just because there's nothing else for people to really be looking at the moment. Equities all roughly flat. And we're going to see what the retail trader thinks when they get into it in a half hour. With that, Brian and I will be back tomorrow morning. I appreciate you all joining. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll give it to you when we've got it. So until then, good luck in the markets, everyone. We'll catch you tomorrow morning.